Metaphor.
Metaphor.
What's the metaphor?
I think for me, it's that, East Paulding really is its own city. And we pretty much are like, a mix of whether it's EMTs or firemen or policemen, because we have to be ready and willing and able to do whatever, happens to arise, whatever problem happens to arise.
I think our school has been like a caterpillar last year. How it just inched right along with our collaboration, everyone just getting their feet wet, figuring it out.
And where are we now?
And then over the summer, it's blossomed into a full butterfly to where everyone is flying and soaring around, collaborating and doing what's in the best interest of the students.
I looked at it like a lifeboat. We started off with people just floating around in the water, not really doing their own thing, trying to just kind of tread water. And as the boat came along and picked people up, they started to feel that sense of community and have common goals with each other. They're all trying to work towards the same thing.
Trains.
Train.
I like trains. Train's good.
Do you have all the cars in a train?
Yes.
All the people have to get on.
Have to
Linked
be on.
together.
Linked
Exactly.
together.
You got to have a leader.
You have the engine. Gotta have that caboose.
That's right. So all the interlinked parts, they work together for an end result, a desired result at the end. Let's
They're
get
carrying
them.
really important stuff.
They are.
Now, I know as a group, when we had one of our first Glisi meetings, we described ourselves as a garden, and that you have beautiful flowers in your garden and vegetables that can feed you, but then you also have some weeds that need to be taken care of, and you have to cultivate those things and really work at it to grow and to continue to produce beautiful things.
The great race. Sometimes I feel like we're rushing to get to that point that we're not quite sure what it is, but we know we're in a hurry to get there.
For me, it's the good and the bad and the ugly.
Dang, that was mine.
Sorry. We really do have a lot of good people in here in this school, and we've had some bad times and some good times, and we've had some ugly times. But it's essentially at the end of the day, that's what being a family is all about. It's not all pretty. So it's just about being there for each other and helping one another and doing the best you can to ultimately allow the good to win.
Oh.
Apollo 13.
Oh. Houston, we have a problem.
Well,
No.
Apollo 13, think about it. They didn't have a lot of resources. They were short on time, but
Sure.
yet they had a mission that they needed to get done and to get accomplished.
Oh.
I would say the Breakfast Club. I like that. We have a group of misfits that come together. They don't really have much in common at first, but in the end, when they start sitting down and talking together, and throughout their whole day, and the irony is Saturday school, throughout their whole day of Saturday school, they found a common goal.
And I picked The Godfather. Number one, it's my favorite movie. And number two, Michael Corleone would be nothing without the people around him. And that is a very true statement for our building.
I chose Cheaper by the Dozen. We have a huge family here that doesn't really operate in the most ideal way to begin with. They're kind of all doing their own thing, and nobody knows what the other's doing until it kind of blows up in their face. And as they start to get on the same page, they come together. And it's not always pretty, and it's not always perfect, even in the end when we're starting to work through it. But we do kind of have a cohesive grouping, kind of just like the family does in the end.
I'm gonna go with Sean Connery.
Oh.
I like Sean Connery on it because all of his movies, he's always like figuring things out.
What
That's
about
a good one.
James Earl? Is he the Darth Vader voice?
Yeah, James
Just
Earl
to listen,
Jones.
he
Yes,
could run the whole
exactly.
meeting and just listen to that voice.
Just do
It's very
that one.
commanding.
But with Sean Connery, like he leads Catherine Zeta-Jones in Entrapment through the lasers. He's guiding them. So that's kind of like the collaboration. Guiding to the mission.
The process.
Exactly.
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson, because if he can get the Avengers together,
And he gets
working
snakes
towards
off a
one
plane.
goal, and snakes off the
That's
plane,
true.
Yes.
and rise the Falcons up.
Ooh,
And defeat the terrorists and die hard with a vengeance.
this is true.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I chose Oprah. She's a great facilitator. She is a agent of change, and she really listens to all sides of an issue without necessarily trying to form that opinion, and I think that would be an ideal person to have as part of our group.
I choose The Rock so he can lay the smack down on the rest of them in the department.
Maybe Daniel Day-Lewis, I think would be kind of like a good fit for American literature. Not only because of the work in the Crucible, but I guess some of the intensity, he brings along with the role.
You guys are deep. My goodness.
I would,
I'm late. I've got to try to make up for lost time.
Russell Crowe, because of his diversity, because he was in A Beautiful Mind, and we could use somebody like that in collaboration to help us figure out the bigger problems. But then also I liked him in Gladiator, because when things get rough, that's who I'd want to have around.
if he were still here, I would like Chris Farley to be in on mine, because ours are always extremely serious, and Chris could have brought a laugh to everybody. So
Maybe broken a desk or two.
yeah, exactly.
One thing in high school, I think teachers, maybe traditionally they would have a lot of, I could do this on my own, I don't need much help, but realizing that, somebody else has got a better idea on how to teach sales or how to teach, factoring or whatever it is, I think that's one of the things I see is people are actually spending the time going, hey, how did you present this? And that's one of the great things and one of the emphasis for collaboration, and I see that as being a great impact for us.
And it's easy just to kind of, especially with literature, to kind of find your pocket of where you're comfortable and what you really like. And I feel like through collaboration, just kind of, it can open you up to new areas of your subject area and just kind of help you grow. And just through my growth, I think it helps the kids grow as well.
As a fairly new teacher, when I came here to East, I was able to sit down and talk to some teachers that have been doing it for a while, and I was able to get new ideas or to bounce new ideas off of them to see how they felt as if it was going to work.
Well, it has brought us together. I mean, where we started out as all these little individual pieces, like a puzzle, the puzzle has slowly started to come together and to serve as a solid picture rather than all individual little pieces everywhere.
You're able to look at information, data especially, and compare them and not think that they're completely different pieces of information and irrelevant to one another.
And I think it's important to understand that, you're not alone. And I think that was one of the biggest things when I started collaborating with inside of my team in social studies was, just the fact that we were in this together, we were working together to meet, a common goal, and it wasn't just my kids that we were concerned about, it was other teachers' kids that were inside of our group. And I think just that cohesiveness and just that part of being together and kind of not being out on an island has been the biggest benefit for some of our teachers.
It becomes a part of the daily conversation. I mean, so when you collaborate and you're asking, what's going on in your classroom, then when you see each other at lunch and, in the hallways, hey, how's that project that we discussed? How's all that going? So it's becoming part of the daily routine that's just not at the specific collab meeting time.
Kind of borrowing from what Diane said with the lifeboat. Once we got everybody in the lifeboat, now, we're all rowing in the same direction. So it gave us a purpose, it gave us a common language, and really we've seen the biggest results and the huge gains we've had in student achievement over the last 2 years.
Dear Glisi friends, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice days out of our building to better understand how we can lead our school toward greater improvement. And we understand why you are having us write this reflection, telling you what we learned. Each person views this experience as they want to, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a leader, and a teacher, and a student, a rebel, and a fighter. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, the EPHS team.